It's a wild world out there, but some worlds are even wilder. Hi, my name is Tyler Hapney, and you're listening to Dungeons and Dystopias. Thank you for listening.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Dungeons and Dystopias. I'm your game master and host, Tyler Hapney, and I have run hundreds of sessions of Cyberpunk RED and Dungeons and Dragons combined. And this podcast is a way for me to reconcile my thoughts on both of those systems. Today, we're going to be talking a bit more about Cyberpunk RED. I know technically we should be talking about D&D today, but I've decided, based on the recent Cyberpunk RED DLC, that we would talk about that instead. It is that time of year now, and a reminder that I've been running this podcast for, well, over a year by this point. It's that time of year again. It's Christmas. It's time for the Christmas DLC, the December DLC that R. Talsorian has released upon us. And just like last year for Cyberpunk RED, it is based entirely around Santa, or Santa, this mysterious figure in the sort of Cyberpunk RED, or Night City mythos at the time, where he's sort of this guy that goes around and gives information and blueprints to people for free. He wants all that information to be out there and free. And he does so every year with these sort of drops. And hey, they usually change the game for the better. I mean, we've gotten some pretty good stuff out of these DLCs before, and this one looks like it's going to be no different. This is, well, I should say, these DLCs are typically a way for R. Talsorian to bring back older items from, like, 2020, like popular items, or items that they want to see brought back. They usually do that through this DLC. And usually, I mean, I think it works out pretty well. We're going to be talking a little bit about some of the vehicles you get, because that is what this one is about. It's all about vehicles this time, as well as some of the new vehicle upgrades that they've added along. And to start us off, I want to read out this little narration, this little poem that we have. Now, it doesn't actually say what tune this should be sung in. To me, I'm assuming it's something like "Oh Christmas Tree," but we don't have anything to tell us that, so I'm just going to read it out loud normally. "O burning berg of Night City, how high we see thy glow, as we fly by on Sky Queen wing while gang fights rage below. Yet on thy broken highways a brace of cars zoom past, Zandra, Tetra, Americar, impact in a fatal crash. While in the harbor ships float, sea nomads full of pluck, to smuggle goods to night markets so Christmas doesn't suck. OAVs fly forever with engines thrusting heat to dodge birds and blimps and suicides above the city streets. O burning berg of Night City, how high we see thy glow, as we fly by on Sky Queen wing while gang fights rage below. Yet on thy broken highways a brace of cars zoom past. Zandra, Tetra, Americar, impact in a fatal crash." What a wonderful little Night City carol there. Honestly, how family-friendly, nice, and definitely not morbid at all. Talking here about gang fights, suicides, smuggling weapons. Just classic Night City material. And that really brings us into our DLC here. First things up is the Americar Armadillo. This is, once again, an old school RV. It's basically made for your Nomad to live in. Requires Nomad Access 6. It is a ground car with an armored chassis and heavy chassis, which means it's going to be very hard to hit. 2 upgrades of bulletproof glass, which means very thick glass. A housing upgrade, which means you can live there. Reinforced tires, which means good luck knocking them out. And, of course, a seating upgrade. So you can have a ton of other people in there and kind of transport them around. Really, honestly, if you're looking to get people around, not necessarily fast, but, if you're looking for people to get around, this is not a bad choice. It's only 41 grand. Nomad Access 6 means, it might take a little bit of effort to get there, but, after a couple missions, you should be on your way towards getting an Armadillo, if that's what interests you. Next up is the New American Motors Ambinaut M2. This is one of Ario Meatwagon's most used vehicles. It is essentially a souped-up ambulance of sorts. It is a compact brown car with just 2 seats. Obviously, those are the front. Comes with an armored chassis, bulletproof glass, heavy chassis, hover upgrade, reinforced tires, and sealed environment upgrades. It also has working equipment on it. It is equipped with the following onboard equipment: cryo pumps, med scanner, med tech bag, and tech scanner. So essentially, this is for your on-the-go Ripper Doc paramedic needs. This thing has pretty much everything you're going to need in the back to ensure that whatever patient you have isn't going to bite the bullet right there before they can pay their extremely expensive insurance premium that REO Meatwagon is 100% going to be trying to hit them with. Or if not REO Meatwagon, just generally whatever service they're providing, they're going to make you pay a whole lot for it. Next up is the TetraCorp America Luxus 15. This is a limo. It pretty much looks like a limo, at least. I'm not quite sure if that's essentially what it's supposed to be, but it does in fact look like just your sort of average limousines. 45,000 eddies, requires Nomad Access 6. It is a compact round car with 8 seats. Comes with an armored chassis, bulletproof glass ×2, sealed environment, and a security upgrade. It lacks the cloaking feature. And here's the kicker, guys. It comes on board with a Hammered Industries Drinkmaster 3000. So, this is good for parties. This is good for your exec character who maybe has a nomad friend who likes to drive them around. Could be fun. Let's talk about bikes. This one's €850, which means pretty much anyone can afford it. After, pretty much just one job, if you really think about it. This is the Zonda R400 Trail. It is a road bike with only one seat. It has a structural damage points of 16, which means it's going to be very easy to destroy. A combat move speed of 10 move, which means it's slower than normal. No seating upgrade. It is incompatible. If fitted with the AV engine upgrade, an R400 can fly, but its movement rate remains the same. It cannot be tech upgraded to increase its combat or narrative speed. This is Nomad Access 1, so it is pretty much the worst bike you can get. However, it is less than €1,000, so really it's kind of up to you on whether or not that's worth it. Personally, I would say yes. I would say definitely, because it puts you up to 10 move, which, is way better than, I guess, sort of the default of 8 move, It's still pretty slow, though. It is pretty slow. This one's interesting. The AdZep. One can probably guess what the AdZep is for. It's a Zeppelin that plays ads. It's covered in TV screens, and it plays just ads all the time, floats around the night city sky, and makes sure that even if you're looking up into the stars, which the light pollution makes it so you can't really see the stars, well, you're going to be seeing ads instead. They've commercialized the Night City airspace, and this is one of the main things doing it. This is an AeroZep with only one room. It has a communication center, a structural damage points of 35, combat speed of 15 move, and a narrative speed of 60 miles per hour. So it doesn't have any upgrades or anything. It is just a Zeppelin with one room dedicated entirely to broadcasting, ads. But hey, let's talk about the next one. This is the Dayton Sky Queen. This is worth approximately 4,961,000 eddies. That's a lot of money. I would be surprised if eddy players are ever able to afford anything close to this. But what is the Sky Queen? What makes it so expensive? Well, it is an AeroZep with an AeroZep self-sealing gas bag, armored chassis, bulletproof glass ×2, communication center, a hangar ×2, heavy chassis, onboard rocket pod ×4, sealed environment, Titanic hull, and vehicle heavy weapon mount ×2, with 2 railguns. Yeah, okay, so it's pretty armed to the teeth with upgrades. But what's it look like on the inside? Well, it has a total of 50 rooms, 26 luxury rooms, and 14 complex rooms. Its twin hangars house a TetraCorp America Lexus 15, the limousine we just talked about, with an AV4 engine upgrade and a helicopter with an armored chassis, bulletproof glass ×2, heavy chassis DOS, onboard machine gun, onboard rocket pod, and vehicle heavy weapon mount. So, of course, you also get a helicopter with this purchase as well. A Sky Queen can make an excellent faction headquarters. That as it recommends. Only problem being that, of course, the Sky Queen costs nearly 5 million eddies to buy. So if you want to make it into a headquarters, you're probably better off stealing it or being friends with, some of the richest people in Night City, which, for a lot of campaigns might legitimately happen. But at the same time, for a lot of other campaigns, you're not even going to hope to get behind the wheel of a Sky Queen. And we even get a typical layout of the Sky Queen here, and it is equipped with things like bars, restaurants, nightclubs, gyms, pools, recreation decks. You get the idea. This thing is basically an air cruise ship. It's pretty cool. 500 SDP, by the way, so you're not going to be able to just shoot this thing down with a rocket or two. And even if you tried, they have 2 railguns and a helicopter with another railgun. So, I mean, look, if anyone's attacking the Sky Queen, they should probably get ready for some serious pain coming their way. Because that is 3 railguns that could all be firing at once in one location, and that is very, very scary. Let's kind of talk a little bit about another one of my favorites here, because I don't think we're going to be able to cover all of these wonderful vehicles. Let's talk about the Aero Jeep. This is the BMW. It's definitely not based off of BMW or anything like that. This is a compact ground car with an AV4 engine upgrade, so it does float and it flies. A heavy chassis, seating upgrade, and vehicle heavy weapon mount, which is empty at purchase. So you can put anything in there, including a railgun. You cannot put bulletproof glass on it, sealed environment, or security upgrades due to the fact that the car itself has a quite open cockpit. You're pretty exposed in the Aero Jeep. However, can't lie, it looks really cool. This thing is like that one Jeep that a bunch of like insurgent groups use. That's basically what it is. It's like it's a kind of a classic, man. You can't go wrong with the Aero Jeep. I don't think so, at least. What is the Highland Defense Ullapool Raider? Let's talk about that one. This is a speedboat, because we're now on to the ocean vehicles. It has 5 seats, an armored chassis, and an onboard rocket pod. It has an SDP of 35. It is compatible with the sealed environment, bulletproof glass, heavy chassis, and submersible upgrades. But it is a very cool speedboat with a rocket launcher on board. So that is good for your aquatic missions. Maybe you're going to a swamp or something, and you need a rocket launcher for that. Well, guess what? Here you are, the Highland Defense Ullapool Raider. Last, we're going to talk about some of the new upgrades that I've been discussing here, because I know a lot of them haven't been talked about before. Like, what the heck is an AeroZep self-sealing gas bag? Well, that's obviously for the Sky Queen. And discussing it, it seems that this reinforces the vehicle's weak point so that it cannot be targeted by an aim shot, which means no double damage being done to your AeroZep. That everything's going to be just solid, straight up what you get. Which means that's really good, but it's of course only for AeroZeps. The hangar is exactly what it says it is. It can be installed on an AeroZep or a yacht. It is the parking space for a single non-yacht, non-AeroZep vehicle, so probably a helicopter or an AV or something. Reinforced hull and tires is basically the equivalent for the AeroZep thing. It reinforces the vehicle's weak point so that it cannot be targeted by an aim shot, which is really good, and requires only Nomad rank 1, essentially. So you can get that from the start, which is crazy to me. Sealed environment, which you've mentioned many times, it protects anyone inside the vehicle from toxic gases, fumes, and aerosolized attacks originating from outside the vehicle. So no tear gas, nothing like that. The submersible upgrade is interesting because this one goes to all land and sea vehicles except bikes and jet skis, which means you could upgrade your RV to become a submersible. Waterproofs the vehicle as a submersible engine, allowing to travel underwater at the speed of a speedboat. So, yeah, absolutely. If you're asking me, I would 100% put a submersible upgrade on an RV. I think that sounds hilarious. And lastly, here we go. Our Titanic hull, as I mentioned earlier, with the AeroZep, it increases the SDP of the vehicle by an amount that scales with the number of rooms it has. So it has 1 to 4 rooms, it's plus 100 SDP, 5 to 8 is 180, 9 to 12 is 250, and finally, if you have over 13 rooms, that is an additional 380 structural damage points, which is really, really, really good, as one might imagine. And vehicle rooms are another thing we've discussed. You can build rooms on your vehicle now. I would suppose this would probably mean that You could probably put rooms in a lot of different vehicles. Definitely Aerozeps, but I don't know about like your typical like your Luxus America or whatever. Like I don't know if you'd be able to put something on that. But the housing capacity Nomad vehicle upgrade when taking it motor rank 5 or above can upgrade an existing room in a vehicle to a luxury room instead of adding a new room. And then obviously a complex vehicle room is also available, requires motor rank 7 or above. Yeah, I mean, just it's generally more HQ building stuff sort of at the end here, but if you wanted to make your HQ a vehicle, that they now let you do that. And I think that's really cool. Yeah, in general, this DLC has been pretty great. Not gonna lie, I'm pretty satisfied with it. I think Santa is an interesting character, and I always love seeing him come back. Whether it be giving us a carol or shooting Krampus with a sniper rifle, please refer to last year's episode and you'll find out. Yeah, just in general, I mean, if you're looking for some nice, clean new vehicles to use in your home game, this would be absolutely where I would look. Because, I mean, a lot of these are classics. I mean, they're from Cyberpunk 2020, and they're tried and true. There's a reason they're showing up in this DLC. So I think, maybe my next game, I'll have some gangers show up on that, €1,000 bike. See what happens. Or maybe I'll have a squad of hitmen roll in on an Aero Jeep. That'd be interesting. Sort of the world is your oyster when it comes to this kind of business. Now we should get on to our metaphorical monster of the week, and this one's a little interesting because technically it's two companies, but they're kind of the same company. I want to talk about AmeriCar. We don't have a ton of lore about AmeriCar. Just straight up, I'm going to be honest with you. However, we do have enough lore to make this kind of an interesting little story. Now, it all starts with a company called New American Motors. They started out in Michigan, and basically over the years were able to create what someone called maybe a pretty good line of RVs, as the one we discussed before, as well as that ambulance from earlier, the one that REO Meatwagon still uses. And as I understand it, these guys were pretty much the sort of not the vehicle manufacturer, but one of the main vehicle manufacturers for like nomads, riding in from the 2010s into the 2040s, sort of, I guess more like the 2020s, because New American Motors, they go flat once the fourth corporate war happens. New American Motors just disappeared off the market. And just like, some telltale devs have gone on to create their own company and do their own thing, I'm going to guess some people from New American Motors moved on and formed AmeriCar. So, now AmeriCar is essentially the continuation of New American Motors. They haven't done anything too crazy, I'd say, necessarily in terms of corporate crimes, but considering that this is the cyberpunk universe, one can actually anticipate that likely these guys are probably, I don't know, pretty bad. Most corporations in this universe are. I'm just going to, go on a limb here and say that, these guys have probably done some pretty shady stuff, especially if they're working hand in hand with companies like REO Meatwagon. So, what is AmeriCar properly? Now that we've kind of talked about the background. Well, AmeriCar is obviously a North American vehicle manufacturer. These guys specialize in creating motorcycles and cars built almost exclusively with pre-collapsed blueprints and recycled parts. So your AmeriCar vehicles are maybe going to look a little bit more economic, I'd say, than some of your other ones. But they're going to get their job done. I mean, the Econo Compact and the Family Star van, two classics. And these guys are responsible for the creation of the Harriet and the Harvey, which we've discussed in some of our previous vehicle episodes. So it's not like they're necessarily creating bad vehicles. In fact, these are pretty decent ones. It just so happens that, these guys have a bit of a reputation for maybe creating some old scrappy little pieces of work, but still, they work, they function. And for that, they are a corporation that is able to exist unlike their predecessor. It was only around for really like a decade, maybe a decade and a half before they just vanished. So good, hats off to Americar. So far have shown themselves not to be terrible, but we could probably assume they are in some capacity pretty rough company. I have not used them very much in my own home games, but obviously I've used their vehicles to quite an extent. All right. That'll be it for us this week. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Next week, we'll talk a bit more about Dungeons and Dragons. As for now, though, I'm Tyler Hapney, and this has been Dungeons and Dystopias. Thank you so much for listening.